the balance between movement and stillness. And I think one of the magics of a yoga practice, and maybe you've experienced this, I hope you've experienced this, is that alchemy of deep introspection and presence and quiet and stillness that happens when we are practicing along with the flow of movement. And it's a really beautiful alchemy when you are in that presence. So I wanted to read a little bit to you by John O'Donohue. He's one of my favorite writers. This is from his book Beauty. So he talks about this balance between these two forces and compares it to the flow of a river. Stillness is the canvas against which movement can become beautiful. We can only appreciate movement against the background of stillness. Were everything kinetic, we cannot know what movement is. As sound is sistered to silence, movement is sistered to stillness. It is lovely to sit on the rim of a rising valley and watch along its depth line the grace of a river's journey. The long flow of its water traverses each field at the same time, but with an ever new continuity. The river unfolds equally all along the one line of its journey. From source to sea, it is one flow. Nowhere does it pile up. Nowhere does the water break to leave an empty space. From source to sea, it is one unbroken song of flow, ever changing, yet always one. The grace of a river is a reminder of how nature seeks elegance and achieves immense beauty of cohesion and balance. A river blends music of movement with an enduring and accompanying depth of stillness. Again, its journey is always out of silence, and this silence dwells deep in the river too. If only our lives could achieve, or indeed allow, such grace and elegance. If we could but find a rhythm of being which could balance a contemplative grace, a poetry of motion, and an accompanying stillness and silence, our pilgrimage through this world would flow in beauty through the most ragged and forsaken heartlands of confusion and dishevelment. It would continue to hold a clear flow line between the memory and depth of the earth and the eternal fluency of the ocean, and never lose the passion of flowing toward the ever new promise of the arriving future. So let's go ahead and sit up straight and tall. Close your eyes and take a moment to sit within your own sense of stillness, quiet. Come into the rise and fall of your breath. Can you feel the backdrop of stillness and the flow of the breath? Can the two mirror each other in the way that the yin yang is mirrored, dark and light? Can you allow your body to yield? When we give our way into our connection to the earth below us, we can find stillness a little more easily, and we can find the flow a little more easily. Are you listening to the sound of your breathing? Are you dropping any weight off your shoulders? Let's go ahead and place the palms together at your heart and bow in. Can you feel the still point of the palms touching each other? The still point of the third eye? The still point of your pelvis grounded? Whatever other still points you're accessing. And can you find them and hold them and be in them at the same time as being in the flow of your breath? And see if we can find the balance of this in our practice today. Offer an intention for yourself. Okay, let's release the hands and come onto our back. All right, so come to lie down. Finding that sense of being able to feel yourself spread out, kind of like the water spreads out to take up its space, whatever space it has inside a riverbank. Let yourself expand to your edges energetically. Touch into your edges of your body. Let your breath touch to the edges of your ribs. Enjoy the spaciousness of your joints, the length of your spine, the width of your body. Get big. All right, and then as much as you can, stay in that sense of presence, a still point. Find a still point to come back to. So, it can be anywhere in your body. It doesn't have to be in the center line of your body. That's often a place where we can kind of come home to. But find a still point to anchor yourself with in your body. So place your awareness in a stillness right now, anywhere it is for you. And as we practice today, can this be, your source, your sense of if you need grounding, if you need stillness, that you can come home to sensing this place in your body. And let's invite movement in. So stretch your limbs, arms and legs. Maybe you want to move. Maybe you want to stretch one leg longer. Maybe you want to reach one arm higher. Maybe your back wants to arch a little bit. Just see what's happening in your body and breath. And then pick up your knees and bring them toward the chest and rock a little bit, swaying from side to side, kind of getting to know the back body, just sense in how's your back today. All right, and then let's circle the knees a few times. So one direction circles, feel your sacrum, the low back, and then go the other direction. See if you can let your hand on your knees help your belly to soften in this. There's no work to be done yet. And then pull your knees apart and back in, just warming up the hip joints, the movement of your hips. If you've been sitting for a while, sometimes all of our ligaments and soft tissue, muscles, tendons get a little stiff. So let's just find some lubrication, some juice inside of our bodies. And then right knee into the chest, left leg long on the floor, and find it now with your feet. So wiggle your toes, roll around in your ankles, and wake up those joints. How's your breath? Can you find your still point within the movement? Then change sides, left knee into the chest, right leg comes long on the floor. Feel some movement through the ankles, through the feet. Deep breaths here, in and out. Enjoy the way movement helps you become awake in your body. Enjoy the way stillness helps you become grounded in your body. All right, and then 2 knees into the chest. Let's lift both legs up in the air. If you want to use a strap, you can. Otherwise, grab behind your legs. Just open up the hamstrings a little bit. Feel the extension of the spine. The femur bones move back. The spine grows. Let's flex the toes toward the face and lift the heels up toward the sky. Soften your knees. And then draw the knees into the chest. And let's come into happy baby pose. This is a very big, deep pose. So if it's too deep for right now, feel free to just hold behind your knees or hold the front of your shins and rock a little bit from side to side. Just get into the low back, feeling some ease here. And then spread out your wings, arms and legs coming wide. Stretch all the way to the tips of your body. Fill yourself in. And on your next exhale, draw the knees into the chest. The chin comes up. Curl it. Find that beginning cat-cow living in your spine, arching back a bit as you stretch your limbs out. Exhale, rounding the spine a little bit as your knees and chest come in. And then put your feet down onto the ground, arms out to the side, and let's sway from side to side with your knees. And just wake up all the little nooks and crannies in the body. So can you feel the sides of your waist? Can you feel the belly at all, the back at all? What are you sensing? Is your movement fluid or choppy? And there's no rights or wrongs. Just notice where you are. Can you find your still point? Pause with your feet down onto the ground. Take a breath here, ground and root your feet into the earth. We're going to do some rolling bridges. Inhale, lift the pelvis up. Arms come up over your head. And then exhale and lower the arms down. Pelvis comes down as well. So a couple of times, just moving into a gentle back bend. This is not a huge thing. This is just waking up the center of the body, the core, the glutes, the pelvic floor a little bit. Imagine you have a block between your legs. Stabilize, come into the breath. Don't worry about how high you go. Just sense into the center of the body. Go ahead and relax. Melt your pelvis back down onto the ground. Take a breath here. Still point. Let's roll over onto our side and come up onto our hands and our knees. All right, so as you find all fours, let's start moving into some cat-cows. Okay, so arching and rounding the spine, taking your time. Notice your vertebrae. What's moving well in your body today? What's not moving so well in your body today? All right, now let's move our spine around any way you want. So you can circle through your shoulders or pelvis. You can circle through your head. You can sway from side to side. You can move your shoulder blades around. Just find any movement that's going to feel really nice to wake your body up. How's your breath? And then let's find our way back to child's pose. Decide how you want your spine to feel. Do you want a pretty deep anterior tilt and kind of root the hips? Or do you want a little bit more rounding? What feels best in your body? And as you come into child's pose, find again that still point in the body. Take a moment to feel your breathing. Let's walk the hands over to the right side of the mat, feeling the rib cage open and stretch. Stay grounded through the pelvis. Root down. Come back to center, hands over to the other side. Open the rib cage up, relax your neck. If your still point is available, find it. Find the flow of your breathing. See if you can enjoy that magic alchemy of silence and flow. All right, come back to center. Arms down or hands down onto the ground again. Lift the arm up. Big circle. We're doing this a little differently. Okay, one more time. Big circle, arm around. And a third time. Arm out in front of you. Lift the arm up to the sky and bring it down. Now you get to twist and draw that shoulder underneath. Drop it down to the earth. Let the neck be soft and relaxed. Breathe into the space behind your shoulder blades and just enjoy the feeling of twisting. What's opening here? Relax your neck. See what it feels like to soften as best as you can. And then inhale, reach the arm all the way up to the sky and place the hand down onto the ground. Do some circles with the other side. Big shoulder circles. Just get into the fluidity of your joints. Feel the transition through your spine as well as you twist open and drop down. And after the third time, drop the shoulder down to the earth and find a deeper twist. Stillness and flow. So now when we're still in a pose, the flow comes on the inside. So find the dynamic movement that happens while you breathe. Relax your neck. See if you can allow some yielding. All right, and then inhale and lift that arm all the way back up in the air again. Place the hand down onto the ground. Curl your toes under and find your way into dog pose. Spine gets longer. And now let's find a little flow in your feet. So bend one knee, drop the other heel down and switch. And it's okay if your heels don't come all the way. Just find some zing up through the back of the calves. Open up the Achilles a little bit. Feel the back of the leg. Notice what your hips want to do. Do you want one hip to lift high and the other to drop down? Just find anything that feels good in your body. There's no rights or wrongs. Movement and stillness. So what's the center head point inside your head? The third eye. Can that be still as the body finds movement? And whatever other still point you find, be there. Once you're ready, find a little more stillness in the body. So the flow becomes on the inside. So now our outer body is a little bit more grounded, and the flow is happening from yielding, from breath, from feeling the inner work of the posture, both in stability and freedom. What can open a little bit more? Can your sit bones lift and widen? Are your knees soft? Are your elbows soft? Are you able to melt into the earth and rebound? How is your breath? How's the still point in your body? All right, and then let's walk our feet forward. Come into Uttanasana and fold. Relax, bend your knees as much as you want. Feel free to move, wag your tail, anything that feels good. And then let's slowly rise up, bringing the arms to the sky. Come into a big open chest. Lean back a little bit if it feels good. Open up your arms out to the sides, spread across your wings. And then exhale and round in, palms coming toward each other. Straighten up your spine. Lift your heart to meet your thumbs. Feel that sense of uprightness, stoutness, balanced with the yielding of the earth. Soften your knees, give way. Find your stillness. Find your breath. Can you feel energy flow? Can you feel your diaphragm and open and close when you breathe? Can you feel your pelvic floor release as you inhale? Can you let that drop all the way to the knees and the feet? All right, on your next breath in, lift your arms to the sky. Cactus open your arms or just stretch your arms wide. And then exhale and fold forward. Relax your head. Tuck your chin toward your chest just a bit. Inhale for a halfway lift. The thigh bones move back. The knees are soft. Exhale and melt to flow back down. One more time. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale and release. Finding the floor. Step your left foot back. Right foot comes forward. Come into a lunge. Enjoy the stillness here. Find the openness in your body. Can you feel the crown to the tail to the back heel on one long line? Breathing well. And then let's start to move. So let's go ahead and straighten the front leg a bit. Tuck the chin toward the chest. Feel that back body zing. Come forward, bending the knee, the chest opens. Feel the hip flexors broaden. Back and forth between stretching the back line of your front leg and the front line of your back leg. How's the breath? Stay in the flow. Stay in the stillness. Let's go ahead and come down with your back knee on the floor. Hug front heel and back knee toward each other. Rise up. Try not to overarch the back. See what you can do to stabilize. Reach the arms up to the sky. Lean back a little bit if it feels good. Open your arms. Be where you want to be. Find the flow of your breath. And then when you're ready, grab onto the left wrist with the right hand up and over a little bit. Feel the depth. Come into your lunge. Hug back, front heel and knee. And then release your elbow or forearm onto your leg, hand on your thigh, and come on up to open the spine. Find a little twist, collarbones broaden. Breathe deeply. And then release. Let the hands down onto the ground. Walk your front knee back toward the back knee. All fours again. Cat-cow. All right, and then let's bring our left foot forward. Stay down in your lunge. We're going to go backwards through this, so come on up to a lunge. Front heel and back knee supporting you. Lift up through your spine. Feel the work of stabilizing your lower body. Bring your arms in a comfortable place. Rise up. Find the neck, soften. Drop the skin of your shoulders down the middle of your back, so that space from the base of your skull through between the shoulder blades. Let it descend. Finding the breath, grab onto the right wrist with the left hand. So try not to crunch over to the side too much. It's just an opening, a little more opening through the psoas. Stabilize through your legs. So the inner thighs are working. The front heel and the back knee are coming toward each other. How's the breath? Let's find a twist. Forearm coming onto the knee. Other hand is on your thigh to help you become more upright. Lift the spine. Extend. Still stabilizing through your legs. Drop the shoulders. Collarbones broadening. Opening up the breath. Find your stillness. Find your breath flow. All right, and then swing back to center. Put your hands onto the blocks. Curl the back toe under and go ahead and straighten and bend your front knee. So you can come into a lunge and then you can come back to straighter legs. There's no rules of how far you go. Finding breath. All right, and then as you're ready, come into a lunge, hang out there for a moment. Keep your hands on your blocks. Extend the heart forward, reach and lengthen your spine. Close your eyes. Where's your still point? Can your breath be the flow? Can we find that grace to help us through the confusion and dishevelment? I love that line and in his words, John O'Donoghue's words. Walk the back foot forward and come to fold. Relax the base of the skull. Inhale for a halfway lift. The spine is growing longer. Exhale and melt back down. Push off your feet. Rise up, reaching the arms to the sky. Open up to a little bit of a back bend. Arms go wherever you want them to be. Roll your wrists around as you come forward again. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale and melt back down. Step back to a plank or a forearm plank or any kind of hands and knees on the floor kind of pose. Whatever's stable for your body, for your shoulders, your elbows, your wrists. Find the stability through the center line of the body. Deep breaths here in. Deep breaths out. All right, let's go ahead and put our knees onto the floor. Come on to your belly. So find your way down to however you get down there. And let's wake up a little bit of a back bend. Open the chest. Exhale and come back down. Feel the shoulders drop away from the ears one more time. And exhale and release toward the floor. Take your knees really wide. Come into a uber wide child's pose. So just come into that deep movement of the hip joints. Relax your forehead. Try not to sink your low back into the floor. Take your tailbone and stretch it toward your feet. And then come back up. Bring your right hand onto the ground, the left foot on the ground, right knee on the ground. You can always put a block under your hand if you need more height underneath you. So find your way here. Open up into Vasisthasana. Feel the side body lengthen. Reach your arm over your head. Open up through the ribs. Breathe well. Great. Hand back up to center. Lift the leg in the air. Start, and the leg can be like an inch off the floor. It does not have to be super high. Find the core. Find the breath. Okay, great. And then go ahead and melt. Come back onto all fours. Have a cat-cow. Shake out that wrist if you need to shake out the wrist. And let's come to the second side. So as you find your way into this posture, you need a block, you might not. Left hand, left knee, right foot lines up. Open up through the chest. Shoulders are away from the ears. Find your breath. Where's your still point? Where's the movement of your breathing? Let's reach that arm up overhead. Feel the full length of your side. Open things up. Find your breath. All right, and then let's come back with the hand. 12 and 6 o'clock with the hands. And oops, I'm out of room with my couch. Go ahead and lift that leg as high as you want it to be. So it can be really low, just an inch or so off the ground, or it can be much, much higher. You go where you go. Open up through your chest. Shoulders are away from the ears. And then come back around again. Back onto all fours. Have a moment of moving your spine around however you want to, and then find the dog pose again. Enjoy. What do you love about this pose? Is it easy to find a still point? Breathe deeply. Deep breath in, deep breath out. All right, let's lift the right leg up in the air. Find your breath. Swing that foot through, come to a lunge. Always remember there's other ways to get here, so you can always put the knees down and then bring the foot forward. Rise up, crescent lunge. The arms come wherever you want them to be. Open things up, spread out your wings. Deep breaths here. Root your feet into the earth. Find that opening across the hip, and then let's turn and open up to the side. Come into warrior two. So even though you've done this pose a million times, close your eyes if you can. If you can allow yourself to be still and feel the flow of your breath. What does stillness give you? What can drop down? What is able to yield? Can you give into the yielding to help you with both your flow and your stillness? Slide the skin between your shoulder blades down the back. Feel the roots of both of your feet. Let your arms float. Let the lungs support the shoulders and arms. Finding the breath. Reach that right arm up to the sky. Look up. Find some breath here. And then stand up straight. Come into triangle pose. Reach the arm down. So a big stretch through the hamstring. Try not to overdo the rotation or the lateral bending. So let your whole pelvis tip to the side. So we're not like VR2 where our pelvis is balanced left and right. We're tipping our pelvis. Open up your chest. Drop the shoulders away from the ears. Stay rooted. How are your knees? Are they able to soften and give you that sense of yielding into the earth and pushing off the earth? Let that be a bit of your stillness and a bit of your movement. How's the breath? All right, let's go ahead and come back up. Turn to the long edge, goddess pose, 2 feet out. So we've done some preparing on one side and not yet on the other. So just notice what your 2 sides feel like. You can keep your hands on your knees for a moment. Once you get situated and stable, go ahead and lift your chest and bring your palms together. Close your eyes for a moment. See what it feels like to have the stability of this pose, the anchoring, the yielding of this pose, and find a little bit of flow. Find the breath moving. Find energy moving through your body. Deep breaths in, deep breaths away. All right, stand on up. Let's turn back to the front of your mat. Come, bring your hands down. Come into dog pose. Extend the spine. Inner spiral the legs. Relax the head. Find your still point. Breathe into your flow. Even if your body is still, there's flow by yielding. There's flow by breathing. There's stillness by finding those center points. There's stillness by giving to the earth. Let's lift the left leg up in the air. Square hips, and then bring that foot through to a lunge or however you get there. Rise up, bringing the arms wherever is comfortable for you. So your hands might be better off somewhere else than up in the air. Find the extension of the spine no matter what you're doing with your limbs. All right, and then let's open up, turn to the side, enjoy coming into Virabhadrasana 2. So find what you're finding, that we've already warmed up this hip a little bit with that goddess pose. So notice what that feels like. Put your arms wherever you have that sense of stillness and flow available, where you're not interrupted by turbulence. You know, of course, things can get turbulent sometimes, but what can you do to steady yourself, to yield through that, to find a way to be in your body where there's flow instead of a choppiness in your breath or a choppiness in the sensations of your body? How can you be that continual flow? Can you feel yourself yield? Can your lungs be like little buoys for your shoulders to rest down upon? And let's find some extension. Come into a reverse warrior. And then straighten up that leg and come into triangle pose. So take a block if you want to block. Put your hand on your hip if you are on your thigh, if you want to be on your shin or your thigh somewhere. Be very mindful if your hand is resting on your leg to not hyperextend your knee. Tip the pelvis to one side. Let the femur bone root up into the hip joint. Yield. Soft knees, yielding feet, still point, flow of the breath. All right, let's come back up and find our way back to the front of our mat. Wherever you want to bring your hands, go ahead and do that. Bring your feet, so any width apart that feels comfortable for you. Enjoy the symmetry. Enjoy the closeness. We're not as spread out in our limbs. Enjoy the still point, that center point you found. Inhale, come forward, coming into a plank. Finding the breath. We're going to put our knees down onto the ground. And we're going to come into a side forearm plank. So you're going to come onto your side, right side, have your forearm perpendicular to your mat. You're going to line up your legs, take a deep breath in, and I'll show you a plan B if this is too much. We're going to inhale to lift the whole body up, arm coming into the sky. If this is too much, try taking your top leg, put your foot down onto the ground, and then lift from here so you have a little bit more leverage. If that's still too much, you can bend your knees and the hips can stay on the ground and you can find the stability with your body like this. So there's lots of choices. Hug your lower body, whatever part's touching the floor, and the forearm toward each other. So whatever variation you're doing, hug toward the center. Open the chest, shoulders are away from the ears. Find your side waists. Breathe into your strength. Great, and then go ahead and come down onto your back, onto your right side. Relax your shoulder now. Take an ease. You can always put a blanket underneath your head or a block, or use your arm. Straighten out your top leg. Your bottom leg can be straight too, or it can be bent, whatever feels good to you. Inhale and rise up with your hand and your foot. Exhale and lower that leg and arm down. A couple more times. And maybe you want to experiment. Would you rather exhale to lift or inhale to lift? What feels natural to you? All right, and then on this third one, let's stay. Turn the toes forward. Open up through your chest. Try to stack your hips one over the other. Stack your ribs. Finding your breathing. And then release and relax. Roll over onto your belly and come up onto all fours. Find some movement here, cat-cows or any kind of movement that feels right to you. And then we're going to come and rest on our left side. Forearm is on the ground. Okay. Legs can be straight, or we can put the top leg on the ground, or you can keep both knees bent with your hips on the ground. The forearm is on the ground, the palm is facing down or in, whichever feels good. Shoulders are away from the ears. Find that skin between the shoulder blades and drop it down. And you decide where you're going to be in this pose. It's a tricky pose, forearm plank is, so be where you are. It's okay to have the hips down, and it's okay to drop them and lift them back up. Find where you are. Hug toward each other. Arm and leg, or whatever's touching the earth, hug it toward each other. Find that side waist. All right, and then rest and relax. Bring your body to rest on the floor. You can grab a block or a blanket under your head or use your arm. Top leg is going to straighten. Bottom leg can either be straight or bent. You decide what's comfortable for you. And let's breathe. You could decide whether you want to inhale or exhale. If you didn't try both, try the opposite now as you lift up and come down. So there's a little bit of balance thrown into this, especially if your legs are straight, both of them. And on your third one, let's go ahead and hang out here for a bit. Shoulders are away from the ears, open up the chest, toes pointing straight ahead. Use those outer hips, stack your hips. Find your still point, find your breath. Okay, let's go ahead and release that. Bend your knees, roll over onto your side, and come on up to all fours. Okay, cat-cows or whatever feels nice to you. Okay, finding the breath. All right, now let's find our way to dog pose. Extending through the spine, deepening the breath in and out. Lift the left leg up, or right leg, sorry, up in the air. Stack open the hip, just stretch a bit. And then square again and bring your foot forward. Find your way up. Okay, so take your time to get there. Turn and open up to Virabhadrasana again. We're going to come into Ardha Chandrasana, half moon pose. So you can be against a wall for this. You can put your foot on a piece of furniture, however you want to come into the pose. So from either Virabhadrasana legs or from triangle legs, you decide how you want to be. Go ahead and come, look at your foot and make sure you're not turning it in or out. Stay straight and then rise up. Hands on the block. Hand on the block can be very helpful. Open your chest to come into Ardha Chandrasana. So now as you find your way into a pose like this, where is your still point? If you're all wobbly and your balance is all over the place, can you still have the stillness in your mind? How's your breath? Is there a way for you to soften your knee and find your flow? Can you use all those muscles that we woke up to help you stabilize here? Are your shoulders relaxed? All right, and then take a giant step back the way you came in and come on up and stand still for a moment. Palms can be at your heart. Palms can be down at your sides. Enjoy the fact that you have 2 feet on the floor. Let's have deep gratitude for the way we are able to yield and root. So easy to get caught up with all the things that are challenging and wrong, and forget to have the simple gratitudes for the way our health is today. Take stock. Look how healthy you are right now. You can breathe. You can stand. Let's go ahead and find our way. Come back to, we're going to come back out of it a little bit backwards, not quite. So go ahead and find Virabhadrasana 2 first. So open up to this side. Bring your arms wherever you want them to be. Just get steady. And then when you're ready to come into Ardha Chandrasana, you can straighten your leg. You can stay bent. You can bring your back foot in a little bit more to come on up. So however you like to get into this pose, find your way. Make sure your foot is stable, that you didn't turn it in or out. And you know, I have a little tiny space here, so I get stuck doing poses like this. So if you are like me, you can rest your foot on something if you want, or you can rest your hand on a piece of furniture instead of a block. Open the chest, spread things out, let the knees soften. Are you able to yield? Root into the earth and rebound out. Find the stillness, find your still point. Find the flow of your breath. Even if your body is wobbly, can you find the stillness and the flow? All right, and then a giant step back to come out of the pose. We're going to turn toward that foot. Find your way up into a lunge. So opening up the hip flexors of that back leg. Maybe the arms come up, maybe they don't. And then bring your hands down onto the ground and lift that leg all the way up in the air. Maybe you're facing the back of the mat, that's okay. Stack open the hip. Then place that foot down onto the ground. Come forward into a plank. You can always put your knees down. Find your breath. Lower yourself down to the ground. Open up to a back bend of your choice. Exhale, find the flow. Come up onto all fours. Move the spine around. All right, we're going to come into pigeon pose. Right foot's coming forward. If you have a different pose you want to do instead of pigeon pose to open up your hips, take a different pose. Any kind of support that you need. When we come into these still poses where our body is lower to the ground and balance is out of the equation, see what you can do to use that grounding of being closer to the floor and still to help you feel the yielding, to give yourself over to the earth, to receive something back, to stay in the flow of your breath. Discover your still point again and again. All right, let's come up a little bit with our chest. We're going to swing that leg around. If you're in a reverse pigeon pose, you just stay. Swing around, and if you can come into a fire log, let's do that. We haven't done a whole lot to deeply open our hips, so this might feel not so easy to do. So just be where you are, and of course you can lean back on your hands and unwind that foot to find the openness of your left hip. Okay, so open the chest. Wherever you're ending up, we're going to do both sides. Okay, and then find your way into pigeon pose on this side. So it's a nice warm up. Hopefully getting to pigeon pose now will feel a little bit more gentle, having done that first. Extend through the spine. Find your way. So if reverse pigeon is where you're at, just switch sides. If you're doing a different hip opener, find what's working for you. Extend the heart, relax your head. Deepen the breath in. Deepen the breath out. Still point, flow of the breath. Let's go ahead and find our way upward a little bit, extending the heart. And then we're going to swing that back leg around and either put it on top of the knee for fire log. And if you're like, oh no, can't do that, no problem. Hands behind you, pick up that left foot and put it on the ground. So we're kind of like in a modified reverse pigeon pose where we're a little bit more upright. The chest is broad. So you decide how deep into the pose your body is ready to be. Still point, flow of the breath. All right, now to come out of there, we're going to straighten our legs and come, we need a block. So come onto your back. Stretch your legs straight out for a moment. Spread your limbs like we always do in the beginning. Find your starfish. And then we're going to take a supported bridge pose on the block. So depending on your height of how you want to be, if you want to go super high with the block on its highest height, don't just use one block. Use 2 blocks so that you have a lot of width across your sacrum. So if you're going to use that height, stack 2 blocks like this. Let me show you. So one stacked over the other, and the width, the width, the long side of the block is going to be across your sacrum. So we don't want to ever put this edge of the block, the short edge of the block, against our sacrum. It's not wide enough to support the pelvis and the sacrum in supported bridge pose, and this can tweak with our SI joints and the ligaments in our that connect our SI joints. So we want to be really careful if we want to go high to support correctly. I would suggest going lower. So I would suggest either the lowest height of the block, the whole length of the block underneath you, or the middle height of the block, the whole length of the long side of the block underneath you. So make sure your pelvis and sacrum is supported. Sometimes if I'm using the middle height of the block, I still put 2 blocks underneath me, one stacked right next to each other. So, and sometimes I put a thin blanket on top of it. I mean, there's so many different ways that you can go about supporting yourself. So you find what works for you. Okay, so any height will do. Find your breath. Allow your feet to yield. Are your feet where you want them to be? Are your shoulders in a comfortable place? Is your neck free? Can you feel the bit of a back bend so you do not have to go huge in this pose for it to be a beautiful opening for the body? Still point. Flow of the breath. Can you stay present? Even though we're not moving, can you stay present in the flow of your breath?
When you are ready, you can stay there as long as you want. When you are ready, you can bend your knees and lift them toward your chest a little bit more. It might be as simple as just balancing your knees over your pelvis. It might be bringing your knees a little closer. It might be bringing your legs into a straighter position, like leg up the wall without the wall. Find any bit of traction. Experiment with different placement of your legs to see what feels best for your sacrum. Allow the femur bones, no matter what they're doing, to root and weight and yield into the pelvis. Let yourself be grounded in your hips. All right, let's go ahead and place the feet on the ground. Take the block out of there. Knees to your chest. Rock around a little bit. Now, if you feel complete, you can find Shavasana now. If you want a little twist or a happy baby pose, discover what's going to help you kind of come into the ease of Shavasana. So if we haven't done much twisting, if you want a little twist in here, you can do a little twist. If your back feels like it needs a little nourishment, you can take happy baby pose. So whatever is supportive, take a couple of minutes to do the last bits of your practice, the movement of your practice, and stay present. Don't let it just be like, okay, I'm supposed to do this, so bang, bang, bang. Breathe through the poses that you're in. Breathe through the stillness, breathe through the movement. And then as you're ready, and there's no rush, so you do you, but as you're ready, find Shavasana. So, it's quite cold out. Take extra warmth. Put a blanket over you. Put a sweatshirt on. Put your socks on. Maybe your house is cozy warm. Whatever you need to feel very nourished and relaxed. As you find your way, is there a melting to be had? Is there a yielding to be had? Can you feel the stillness as you drop into Shavasana? Is there a part of your head or skull that you can rest more? Is there a sense of ease in your limbs, heaviness? Are you able to drop the body down?
And begin moving. Start with the breath. As the breath moves through you and you find that moment of exhale completion, just notice the silence and stillness right there. Invite any movement in the body that's right for you. Coming onto your side as you're ready. Coming up to sit as you're ready for that. And as you come to a comfortable seat, I'll read one more time just a bit of John O'Donoghue's words. If we could but find a rhythm of being which could balance a contemplative grace, a poetry of motion, and an accompanying stillness and silence, our pilgrimage through this world would flow in beauty through the most ragged and forsaken heartlands of confusion and dishevelment. It would continue to hold a clear flow line between the memory and depth of the earth and the eternal fluency of the ocean, and never lose the passion of flowing toward the ever new promise of the unfolding future. Send your flow and your stillness outward into the world. Give your offering. Namaste. Thank you, everyone. Hope you have a wonderful, beautiful day.